as a spectator, on this side of the media, I'm all about second chances. I'm not condoning what he did. And I think when you look at it from a business perspective in the Cleveland Browns, he had to have shown them specifically being John Dorsey and their owner, a level of contrition that gave them and provided them with a comfort level that said, we can bring this guy in-house. Because with all that the Cleveland Browns have had to deal with in years prior, in their past, with off-the-field issues, they understand the magnitude of acquiring a guy like Kareem Hunt with what he's bringing as far as his situation. But when I look at why teams make decisions and how teams make decisions, there's three elements. There must be a level of intrigue, and that's your production. What can you provide for me from a talent base? And then when you see that, man, I'm intrigued, I like what you do. Obviously, John Dorsey drafted this young man. He sat down with him. He was around him a lot. He understands what he's getting in bed with. So he's intrigued by all of that. Then there has to be a relationship. The relationship is there with John Dorsey. So he knows this guy, he wasn't this way. I didn't see this in him. And I'm willing to give him a second chance. It's not that he's in agreement with it or not, or he's picking sides. He's trying to make a good business decision to advance what he's in charge of, which is the Cleveland Browns and running that organization. And then there has to be a trust level, and that's completely on Kareem Hunt. This is a huge deal for the National Football League as well as the Cleveland Browns because, number one, with the league still having to do their due diligence, he's not going to be able to play right away. We don't know where they are in that, and that process has to be ironed out. But Kareem Hunt has now put himself in a position where I've been giving a second chance. Now I have to show that they can trust me. And how do you do that? And what better way to do it than, number one, where it happened, where you are from, basically where you're from, where you went to college, and now you're going to be playing on this team in this same state with this all looming over your head. Can I trust that Kareem Hunt will get this done and make right and make sure that he's doing all the steps necessary to show that level of contrition, not only to us, but to the state of Ohio, to this young lady, to others outside that are going to be looking at us like, what are you guys doing? I think this is a good move for Cleveland because they're looking at it from a lens of, man, his production, the relationship that I have, and can I trust him? I believe I can, but that's up to Kareem Hunt. We'll see how it plays out.
I'm a believer in second chances. I'm not one of these guys who don't think people don't make mistakes and should get opportunities, especially, he's a young guy, 23 years old, talented football player, but shame on the Cleveland Browns for doing it as soon as they did. And that's my biggest issue is I think they should have waited a little bit longer. It almost feels to me like, yes, he got released by Kansas City, but because he's a good player, they're going to bend over backwards to right away. Not like he didn't get away with it, but it doesn't feel like he suffered as much as he probably should have. That right away, he missed 5 games the last 5 games a year ago. Hear me out. And I think that there becomes, I get the talent part, and I understand it's football. You're trying to get the best players. Cleveland hasn't won anything. Here's a chance to get a top running back for nothing and give it a whirl. Dorsey has a relationship with them. But I understand what Kansas City did even more. Kansas City had a chance to win a Super Bowl. Kansas City, right? And they decided, we listened to you, we backed you when this whole thing went down. You told us one story, we saw a different video, and despite us trying to win a Super Bowl, we would rather not have some integrity and not win with you, even though you would give us a better chance to win. I just think Cleveland jumped the gun.
So you're saying that the Cleveland Browns aren't showing integrity because they acquired
I think that they waited, they did it too quickly, too soon. I just think I would rather Let's see what the
What would have
NFL
been
comes.
appropriate?
Well,
Appropriate timeline in your mind.
I think I just would have waited. He would probably have to sit out the season that's coming up, and then maybe I would take a look
So
to see
if the league suspended him 6 games to start,
or after that, after the league suspended him or gave him something. I just think it's too soon. That's it. It doesn't feel good to me.
I'm more with Greg. Obviously, none of us up here condone what he did, but he has suffered some punishment already. He was cut from a Super Bowl contender and received none of that money for those 5 games he missed at the end of the regular season and the playoffs. So he's already missed, what, was it 8 games? Well, 2 playoff games for them. So 7 games. That's more than an Ezekiel Elliott, was punished. So he's already had some punishment, and he's likely going to get another 6.
But Ezekiel Elliott's punishment came from the league. This was from the Kansas City Chiefs.
Whatever. It's totally different. Punishment. They both suffered punishment.
No, but it's a totally different.
My point is
the
that
league hasn't lended down.
No, right.
He's going to end up missing
it's gonna be more than that.
13 games because of this, and I'm fine with that. But my point is he's already suffered some punishment, and he's going to suffer more. So for the Cleveland Browns to take him, I don't have that from a football perspective. It was a smart move because there's nobody in the NFL that thought Kareem Hunt, unless he just was unremorseful and things like that, and he's in counseling and everything. So it seems like he's doing all the right things.
But they did this with Josh Gordon. They bent over backwards time and time again, and it wound up fighting.
Okay, that's a whole
This is a new regime. This is a new regime. You can't put that completely on
John Dorsey wasn't there last year?
He was there.
Oh, okay.
He was. Is Josh Gordon there?
No, but I'm saying he wasn't there last year before he went.
But you can't because it didn't work with Josh Gordon.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
it won't work with this kid.
But he also drafted. What did he drafted? Tyreek Hill, and there's a couple others. He seems as if he's one of these guys who's willing to take a chance. And I'm not against Kareem Hunt getting a second chance. So I want to make that very clear. I just think, and it feels like it's too soon to make this move, and they're the team that decided that they could get a good player, and they wanted to jump on him before anybody else. Other teams looked at him and obviously passed for other reasons to say that they're not. I don't agree. Bob Quinn, the general manager of the Lions, decided that they would rather, what they claimed, would rather not bring him to their team and would rather have a spot for somebody. I think his quote was, they wanted to bring good people in, is what he used the term. So all I'm saying is, it doesn't feel good to me.
At some point, somebody was going to pull the trigger.
Right. Next year, right after those 6 games.
When they pulled the trigger, that nobody cares about when you pull the trigger.
If they pulled the trigger the day after he was suspended, you would be okay with that?
No, because I'll answer your question. I'm going to tell you why. Because 1, he would not have already gone through any counseling. 2, he would not have already suffered any punishment. He suffered punishment and been in counseling. I mean, that's what you do to try to rehabilitate somebody. He's punished and he's counseled.
If he was no good...
How often does that work?
I think sometimes, I don't know the numbers, but I'll tell you what I think is very powerful. The power of social stigma. The power of social stigma. There are people still in America who are racist. But because it's a heavy social stigma attached to it, they won't do it or say it publicly. And I think, hopefully, he's had a heart change. But if it's just, man, I'm not going through all this trouble that I went through, last time. If that's what it takes to stop him from doing it and change his behavior, then that's better than nothing. So I think I like the fact that with domestic violence now, there's becoming, it should have always been there, but there's becoming such a social stigma. You are viewed as such a negative person that I think that serves as a deterrent. It won't for everybody, but it will for a lot of people.
Is it, though? Are we looking at it as you're such a bad person, there's a social stigma?
It's not where it should be, but
desensitized?
No, I think there's a growing stigma. I don't think it's where it should be, but I definitely think it's a growing stigma about it. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs, Rob said it. They had a chance to win the Super Bowl. They cut him like that.
Immediately because, he had lied to them, and they decided that winning a Super Bowl with him wasn't as important than having some
At that point, you're not thinking about winning the Super Bowl. You're making the best decision you feel like you need to make from a lot of different vantage points. A PR standpoint, what's going to take away from our team? What are we going to bring in? What it's going to bring to our team in our locker room and the players that are going to have to answer these questions? So let's remove that. And that was their choice.
But I think when you look at this, if you're a player in the NFL and you're a good player, you know you're going to be able to get an opportunity to continue to play.
And with him being so young.
No, I get the 20. He's a young guy.
I mean, there are a lot of people. I'm not going to just say athletes. I mean, the baseball player, the pitcher for the Milwaukee Bucks, Hader, last year. The Brewers. Last year, what came out with him, well in his past, but it came out, and it's like, are we still going to hold him to that? People change. It is a thing.
Look, Rob, if you want to,
I'm not disagreeing with second chances.
If you want to say that if anybody does something like this, they shouldn't play. They can't play in the NFL
I'm not into that.
anymore.
I don't live in that world.
But that's what you kind of brought up. If you know you're a good player.
No, I just think that I think there's more opportunity where people will accept some things because you can still play. We saw, everybody talks about the Ray Rice. The reason Ray Rice never played again wasn't just because of videos, because he couldn't play. He was already on the downside. Would you agree with that? That's why he didn't play. But if he could have still played, don't tell me that there might not have been somebody who would have overlooked that video.
That's where that level of intrigue, what can you still provide from a production perspective?
Well, I hope that we all believe in second chances, and I hope that he doesn't learn his lesson only because it hit him in the pocket.
Right. I hope he's had a heart change.
All right, guys, LeBron heaped some strong praise on Lonzo Ball, but does he really mean it? We'll discuss next.